afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining us for this weekly media briefing. Okay, if you don't have any particular announcements to begin with, so I'll open the floor for queries and comments. Yes, okay, one by one. that was very quick. I have a funny feeling there'll be someone in Afghanistan. Just a thought, little bird. So we'll start off the one. I saw your hand first today, but I'll go through the round. Maybe we'll just take the questions together.
मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से मेरा सवाल सर अफ़गानिस्तान को लेकर है। तालिबान में वहाँ सत्ता आने के बाद पहला डेलीगेशन अगर देखें ऑफिशियली तो काबुल गया है। क्या पर्पस इस विजिट का, क्या एजेंडा है और क्या माना जाए कि हमारी एम्बेसी अब जल्दी ही वहाँ पर ऑपरेट करना शुरू कर देगी?
आपने 3 सवाल अलग पूछे, बट ठीक है. ओके, हु एल्स वाज देयर? नो, लेट मी स्टार्ट. नो, 1 सेकंड. लेट मी ट्राई टू Reza.
Reza from Hindustan Times. I just wanted to get a general sense of the composition of the team, if we could have some details, and also what are the other places that they might be visiting, and if we could get a few more details on this visit and whether we are looking at some sort of more substantive engagement with the Taliban.
We're looking at only Afghanistan questions right now. Okay, so I'll come back to that. Okay, please, I'll come back to you 1 second.
From the New Indian Express. I'd like to know what comes next. Is the Indian consulate likely to reopen?
The embassy, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come to you, Sudhar. Just give me a second.
कादम्बिनी शर्मा फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी इंडिया. मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि जो ये डेलीगेशन गया है जेपी सिंह की अगुवाई में काबुल, वो काबुल के अलावा कहाँ कहाँ पर जाएंगे, कितने दिन का ये ट्रिप है, और जो बयान में कहा गया है आपके कि तालिबान के सदस्यों से, सीनियर सदस्यों से मुलाकात होगी, तो क्या कुछ नाम भी हैं इन सीनियर सदस्यों के जो आप हमारे साथ शेयर कर सकें?
Okay, Siddhant, I'll come to you. I'll come back.
So Siddhant from Beyond, how long this visit will be? And secondly, are we looking to formally recognize the Taliban regime in Kabul?
सर, मैं कविता हूँ हरिभूमि न्यूज़पेपर से. मेरा सवाल ये है सर कि ये जो डेलीगेशन गया है इंडिया का काबुल, उसमें क्या सिक्योरिटी ऑफिशियल्स भी हैं, रक्षा मंत्रालय के भी कोई प्रतिनिधि हैं? और सर इसका मतलब ये जो जिस तरह की आधिकारिक वार्ता है, पहली जो बैठक होने जा रही है काबुल में, इसको ये माना जाए कि भारत तालिबान की सरकार को या तालिबान को मान्यता देने की तरफ भी कदम बढ़ा रहा है?
आप अपना क्वेश्चन फिर से दोहराएंगे? ये पहला वर्ड में मिस कर गया. आप देखते कहा कि रक्षा मंत्रालय से कोई गया है नहीं?
तो सिक्योरिटी ऑफिशियल्स कुछ गए हैं भारत सरकार के, जिसमें रक्षा मंत्रालय भी शामिल है, और इस तरह की जो पहली आधिकारिक वार्ता काबुल में होने जा रही है,
पहली
उसका अर्थ हम मतलब उसको ये भी हम समझ सकते हैं कि भारत आने वाले दिनों में तालिबान या फिर तालिबान सरकार को मान्यता देने की तरफ कदम बढ़ा रहा है.
Anybody else on Afghanistan right now? I might will take a whole set of questions here. Please.
उमाशंकर सिंह, एनडीटीवी इंडिया. मेरा सवाल ये है कि इस स्थिति तक पहुंचने से पहले किस तरह की सिक्योरिटी गारंटी तालिबान की तरफ से दी गई, क्योंकि इसी तरह की आशंका थी जब हमने वहाँ से विड्रॉ किया था अपने डिप्लोमेट्स को, अपने मिशन को, और किस लेवल पे ये सिक्योरिटी गारंटी दी गई, क्योंकि हमने अपने अधिकारियों को वहाँ पर जो भेजा है उनकी सुरक्षा की भी चिंता रही होगी, तो किस लेवल पे ये गारंटी दी गई?
Nobody else? Okay. Look, you will be disappointed by my answers. So apologies in advance. I think we put out a pretty detailed press release in the morning, which was actually, gives a sense of why our team is there. Our team is currently there. So you will also agree that I would not be able to discuss too much about that. I think we already shared with you almost in real time what exactly is the purpose of the visit. But since many of you have asked questions, let me just go through some of these elements. I will try to just bunch up this because I think some similarities of that. Look, the team is headed by our Joint Secretary from our PI division, as it's called, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran division, Shri JP Singh, and it's a multi-member team. I'm not in a position to share the composition of the delegation. I think somebody asked about composition of the team. Suffice that it is of relevant officials who are required to, for this purpose of humanitarian assistance, delivery operations, they're going to oversee that. So, I think एक आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा, किसने, उमाशंकर जी, सिक्योरिटी गारंटीज़ के बारे में पूछ रहे थे, व्हाट लेवल. देखिए ये सब डिटेल्स हम पब्लिकली बात नहीं कर सकते, पर ये तो आपको मानना ही होगा कि हमारी टीम जब गई है तो हम अपने सिक्योरिटी ऑफ हमारी टीम या ऑफिशियल्स के तो भारी फोकस रखते हैं और ताकि उनको कोई दिक्कत ना हो. Let me just go back to some of the elements that came up in our conversations. Look, let me start off with the basic situation. The composition of, as I said, I'm not in a position to say, but you would get a sense of the composition from what we have said. Our team will be meeting with representative of international organizations. As you know, they are involved in distribution of our humanitarian assistance, these international organizations, so they are one focus area. Team will try to visit various places where our programs and projects are being implemented. But again, would that be in Kabul and outside? Let me, for the moment, avoid responding to that specifically for various reasons. Again, and also on how long and etc. Look, this is a trip that's happening right now, so let me not give any more further details of it. And in connection with our humanitarian assistance, as I just mentioned, as said in our press release, the team will meet senior members of the Taliban. And I really don't have much else to share on that part of it, on the details of who, where, what, where. If and when we have more details to share, we will certainly do so. But please bear with us. This is a visit that's still going on in a difficult situation. As regards the recognition, does this mean? आप हिंदी में पूछा था किसी ने हाँ इसे मान्यता recognition के बाद नहीं उसके पहले reopening की बात करते हैं आपने पूछा था reopening. So I'll do it in Hindi and English to the extent possible so that you have it. On the reopening of the embassy, look, I think we should look at what were the developments since last August. Post 15th of August last year in 2021. In the light of the deteriorating security situation in Afghanistan, it was decided to bring back all India-based personnel, all India-based officials. But, however, local staff have continued to function and ensure proper maintenance and upkeep of our premises there. And our local staff have also been assisting in the delivery of humanitarian assistance. So that's an important element. Let me add that India, of course, has historical and civilizational ties with Afghan people. And these long-standing ties will continue to guide our approach to Afghanistan. You will hear me say this repeatedly. I think maybe I'll try to figure out in Hindi. जैसा कि आपने जब जानते हैं पिछले वर्ष 15 अगस्त के बाद अफगानिस्तान में बिगड़ती सुरक्षा स्थिति को देखते हुए हमारे इंडिया बेस्ड अधिकारियों को वापस लाने का एक डिसीजन लिया गया था. हालांकि लोकल स्टाफ ने कार्य करना जारी रखा था और अभी भी है और वो हमारे परिसर का उचित रख रखाव सुनिश्चित करते हैं और हमारा लोकल स्टाफ भी मानवीय सहायता प्रदान करने में सहायता कर रहे हैं. भारत के अफगान लोगों के साथ ऐतिहासिक और सिविलाइजेशन संबंध है और वे लंबे समय से चले आ रहे संबंध हमारे अप्रोच की मार्गदर्शन करते रहेंगे. तो ये रही बात अबाउट द ओपनिंग ऑफ द एम्बेसी, अबाउट द रीओपनिंग ऑफ द एम्बेसी. As regards, I think somebody also mentioned about is this a recognition? कविता इसका हम फर्स्ट ऑफिस देखिए ये पहला विजिट है काबुल में. आप जैसे जानते हैं पहले कांटेक्ट हो चुका है, ऑफिशियल कांटेक्ट हो चुका है तालिबान के साथ, पर ये पहला विजिट है काबुल में. आप पूछ रहे थे इसमें मान्यता देने वाली बात. मुझे लगता है कि आप इस यात्रा पे बहुत ज़्यादा ही गौर फरमा रहे हैं और गौर कर रहे हैं उस दृष्टिकोण से. ये यात्रा अफ़गानिस्तान के लोगों को हमारी मानवीय सहायता के बारे में है. जैसा कि हमारे अपनी प्रेस रिलीज में बताया है, हम विभिन्न रूपों में मानवीय सहायता प्रदान करते रहे हैं. उसके डिटेल्स हमारे प्रेस रिलीज में था. और आज की यात्रा ये यात्रा इस सहायता के वितरण की निगरानी करने के लिए है और लोगों से बातचीत भी होगी. और जैसा मैंने अभी कहा, अफ़गान लोगों के साथ भारत के ऐतिहासिक और सिविलाइजेशनल संबंध हमारे जो अप्रोच रहेगी इसके बारे में रहेगी. I have an English version of that for those who asked. I think you're reading far too much into this visit. This visit is about our humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. And as we outlined in our press release, we have been providing humanitarian assistance in various forms. The ongoing visit is to oversee the delivery of this assistance, and they will have discussions with the relevant people for that. And as I said, India has historical and civilizational ties with the Afghan people, and these long-standing ties will guide or will continue to guide our approach to Afghanistan. So I think Madhurendra ji, आप पूछ रहे थे delegation purpose, agenda, मैंने आंसर कर दिया है. Reza, you asking about the composition of teams, other places, largely Kabul, but look, as I said, I'm not in a position to share anything furthermore. Yashi, you asked about the embassy, I asked in similar. Who all, Kadambani asked about किस किस से मिल रहे, कौन थे, नाम, इस अभी विजिट चल रही है, देखते हैं बाद में आप क्या आपके साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं. सेम सिद्धांत, सेम टू यू, आई हैव आंसर्ड द रिकग्निशन इशू. सिक्योरिटी ऑफिसर्स, देखिए इस तरह के विजिट के बारे में एक कॉम्पोजिशन होती है जिसको हम पब्लिक नहीं कर पाएंगे अभी. तो आप जेपी सिंह का नाम हमने लिखे, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी है. Anything else in Afghanistan that I haven't covered? I see a few hands going. It better be a new topic. Because, I mean, new, please. Please. Wait till.
Vinny speaking from Newsgate. This humanitarian aid, will it include the followers, the areas where the followers of Ahmad Shah Massoud, the Northern Alliance people, they also require higher level of humanitarian aid? Will that be
If you could rephrase it, this humanitarian aid, which humanitarian? Okay, anyway, I'll come to that. Okay.
Whatever your humanitarian aid, will that also include aid to
Ahmad Shah.
people who are affected largely by the followers,
Okay.
followers in the Northern Alliance areas?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, Sandhya from ET. Sir, a quick question as a follow-up. Is India going to nudge Taliban on reopening of Indian embassy? Is that on the table as part of the discussion?
If I got the words correct, we will nudge Taliban to reopen our embassy. No, I didn't. Is that what you asked?
Yeah, apparently Taliban has not agreed that India can open a full-fledged
You have the
embassy.
privilege of speculating that I do not. So anyway, let me. Anything else on Afghanistan before we move? Okay, more. Okay, let me. As I said, at this point we are not saying much. Please.
So, this entire, this question of reopening.
Sridhar, for the record. For the record.
This entire question of reopening the embassy, can you tell us whether it would be tantamount to some sort of recognition of the regime? And what happens to the representatives of the erstwhile regime who are here in Delhi? The Afghan ambassador here, Farid Mamundzai, and his team. What happens to that in case we reopen our embassy there? Then what happens? Are we going to allow the Taliban also reciprocity in this matter?
Okay. Who else had his hand up? You, please.
मेरा नाम सचिन बुधौलिया है, मैं यूनिवार्ता से हूँ. मेरा सवाल ये है कि अफ़गानिस्तान को जो भी अभी हमने मानवीय सहायता के रूप में गेहूँ, दवाएं या और वैक्सीन वगैरह भेजे हैं, क्या ये अफ़गानिस्तान में सभी वर्गों को, सभी लोगों को समान रूप से मिल रहे हैं?
Okay. And there was one more. No, before that, please. Microphone. Wait, कर ले.
सर, अफगानिस्तान की तरफ से वहाँ की तालिबान सरकार की तरफ से भी किसी प्रतिनिधि मंडल की तरफ से अनुरोध आया है कि वो भारत की यात्रा करें अभी तक?
And please.
Rajesh Mishra, Nepal's Kantipur Media Group I represent. So, presence of an Indian official in Kabul, can it seen as a change in India's view of the Taliban government and an increase in diplomatic engagement with them? Thank you.
Okay, I think I've answered. I think I'm hearing the same set of queries on that. Look, we start with the distribution of our assistance or reaching the people. I think there were a couple of questions on that. I think Sachin pooch rahe the, and you also asked. Look, we have been sending a lot of assistance. In fact, in our press release, we have highlighted, and I have that here. We promised 50,000 tons of wheat. I think 20,000 tons are already there. 13 tons of medicines, 500,000 doses of COVID vaccine, winter clothing. We had done this through different routes. Okay, medicines. We have gone to the Indira Gandhi Children's Hospital in Kabul. Our other assistance has largely been going through these international organizations, the UN and other bodies, particularly WHO, WFP. We are also with UNICEF, with polio vaccine, medicines, etc. So it is through them that is going. They have a process of reaching out to whoever requires it, the most needy. And I would leave it at that because this is something that we hand over to them. As you know, we do not have officials on the ground to be able to comment on the kind of issues that you have. We certainly have not specified which section or which area or who should get it. This is about to the people of Afghanistan, as I keep on mentioning that. And I think our effort to ensure that it reaches the people who require it, from our perspective, is done through organizations and our partners like the international organizations, which are on the ground in Afghanistan. So I think that's how I would like to emphasize. सचिन जी मैं कहाँ गए सचिन? हाँ वहाँ बैठे. आपको भी मैं यही जवाब दूंगा कि हम लोग ये इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, यूएन के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से उनके साथ काम करते हैं, उनके सहायता से हमारी जो मानवीय सहायता जा रही है उस तरह से जाता है. और हमने ऐसा कुछ नहीं कहा कि इनको भेजना या नहीं. जिनको ज़रूरतमंद है उनके पास जाना चाहिए. किस हद तक हर किसी को पहुंच रहा है ये हम कह नहीं सकते, पर हमारी अपेक्षा यही रहेगी कि जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस दे रहे हैं सबको जिनको ज़रूरत है उनके पास जा रही है. सो दैट वाज अबाउट द असिस्टेंस. Sandhya, on this nudge thing, I am not in a position to agree to the thesis of I don't know who's nudging whom. As I said, our embassy reopening, or as I said, it's not the. If you go back to what I said, and I am happy to repeat that. Given the deteriorating situation last August, we had to pull out our India-based officials. Our local staff continue to be there. They have looked after the premises. They are looking after the maintenance upkeep. And I am not sure whether this is the issue of any nudge or otherwise. We will, if there is any update on this situation, we will happy to share with you. At this point, we don't. All I can say is our historical and civilizational ties with Afghan people will guide our approach to what we do in Afghanistan. Similarly, I think there was a question, a request from Taliban. I wasn't sure उसका क्या जाने के लिए. देखिए वहाँ टीम है, अब वो मानवीय सहायता के लिए गई है. अब उसके लिए मैं आई एम नॉट अवेयर स्पेसिफिक कुछ आपने जैसा क्वेश्चन पूछा उसमें कोई स्पेसिफिक मेरे पास इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है. Rajesh from Kantipur, where is he gone? Sorry, yeah, there you are. I wanted to mention that, look, you mentioned diplomatic engagement. I did not characterize the visit that way at all. This is now let me reiterate again from our press release, and I want to be accurate on this one. The team is there to oversee delivery operations of our humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. I don't see any other element on which I can comment on. You asked about the view of Taliban or it's a diplomatic engagement. These are beyond the scope of what, that's the saying, do not read too much into a visit today. Sridhar, you asked about whether the reopening of the embassy would be tantamount to recognizing it. I have a problem on the first part of it. As I said, I haven't made any comment on that element. So I don't think the second part applies. And again, related to that, there is Afghan embassy here operating. So I'm not sure. Yes, there are issues there which have to be resolved. I think the international community itself is looking at it. We are engaged with them on the larger issue, what the expectations are from the Taliban, the international community's expectation. And I think that remains there. We have been, we will continue to engage with the international community on issues related to Afghanistan, including the issue of recognition and the expectations the international community has from them. I think that probably closes the list on Afghanistan. I will move. If there is any other topic, I'm happy to take questions. Yes, okay, other topics. Please, let's okay ma'am.
मैं सर्जना शर्मा सनमार्ग से हूँ. चाइना में पढ़ने वाले स्टूडेंट्स, मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स ने कल जंतर मंतर पर प्रदर्शन किया और उन्होंने कहा कि उनका फ्यूचर बहुत ऐसा है. तो क्या डिप्लोमेटिक स्तर पर उन स्टूडेंट्स को चाइना एक्सेप्ट करे या उनकी क्लासेस हो, इस पर कोई प्रयास किया जाएगा क्या?
सर, मैं जयप्रकाश हूँ दैनिक जागरण से. मेरा सवाल है, कल पाकिस्तान के प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने एक बार फिर भारत के साथ ट्रेड रिलेशंस की बात की है और इस बीच जो कई पाकिस्तान में और इंडिया के मीडिया में भी न्यूज़ आया है कि बैक चैनल वार्ता भी हो रही है. इस पर भारत सरकार का कैसे?
किस पे?
भारत और पाकिस्तान के.
नहीं, मैं समझ रहा हूँ. आपने ट्रेड रिलेशन पे या बैक चैनल पे?
दोनों के.
आप दो क्वेश्चन लगा दिए. अच्छा ठीक है. ओके, आप मैडम पूछें.
Yeah, this is Nivedita from Swarajya. Regarding the EM's visit to Slovakia and Czechoslovakia, is there a specific economic agenda to the visit?
Okay, this is EM's visit, right? Yeah. Okay, please.
Sir, times now. There has been a meeting between officials, but is a commanders meeting between the Indian and the Chinese forces in Ladakh likely, and what are the dates?
I saw, maybe I'll take one round and we'll come back. Oh, no, hold on. I don't think, somebody else's hand is already up. Huh? Yeah, hold on, Yashi, before you. Ranjana, yeah, please.
So, Ranjana from UNI. Yesterday, the EM in his speech at the KK Nair Memorial on the Quad, so he specifically said there should be no attempt to straitjacket the Quad, and there should be congruence rather than, there should not be congruence and there should be convergence. So was there any specific reason why he mentioned that? I mean, anything that has happened that he mentioned that, because it was also in his tweets, it was then his speech, but he did highlight that in his tweets. Yeah.
Okay, I think I will take this round and come back to something. Let me just go. Actually, let me start with Shinjoy on the issue of China. Look, as you mentioned about the WMCC is what you are referring to, which happened on 31st. We had put out a press release on that. I don't have much to add to that, to be honest. As you saw in that press release, what we said was that as instructed by the two foreign ministers, both sides agreed that they should continue the discussions through diplomatic and military channels to resolve remaining issues, and so as to create conditions for restoration of normalcy in bilateral relations. We've been saying this repeatedly, and this was there in the press release that we issued. What is important is that they agreed to hold the senior commanders, which you are referring to, at an early date to achieve the objective of complete disengagement of all friction points along the LAC in Western sector in accordance with the existing bilateral agreements and protocols. I am not aware of any particular date that I can share with you at this point, but I would like to emphasize that we look forward to this commanders meeting at an early date. On the issue of जयप्रकाश जी ने पूछा था ट्रेड रिलेशंस और बैक चैनल दोनों के बारे में. देखिए, बैक चैनल इसे क्या कहूँगा मैं, स्पेकुलेटिव मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स कहूँगा इसको, एंड उस बारे में मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं करना चाहूँगा. हमारे दूतावास से हैं, फंक्शनिंग है, दोनों जगह काम कर रही हैं, और वो अपने जो इंटरलॉक्यूटर्स हैं उनके साथ बात चल रही है उनकी. तो ये स्पेकुलेटिव मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स पे टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहूँगा. हमारी संबंधित हाई कमीशंस अपने कार्य कर रही हैं और अपने इंटरलॉक्यूटर्स के साथ संपर्क में हैं, और पाकिस्तान के साथ बातचीत के संबंध में हम लगातार स्थिति हमारी यही पोजीशन रही है कि टेरर, हॉस्टिलिटी और वायलेंस के मुक्त अनुकूल एक माहौल हो, और पाकिस्तान के साथ हम सामान्य नेबरली रिलेशंस चाहते हैं. एज यू नो, वी बीन सेइंग दिस रिपीटेडली on the dialogue. Our consistent position has been that we desire normal neighborly relations with Pakistan in a conducive atmosphere free of terror, hostility and violence. And I would not like to comment on speculative media reports that you referred to. And our respective high commissions are functioning and are in touch with their interlocutors in terms of conversations. As regards the trade part, look, I normally usually won't comment on general things that I haven't seen in detail. But yes, we have never felt that trade ties should be stopped, or in fact, we have always been pushing for normal neighbor relations, and trade certainly has been part of that. If anything, I think it has been Pakistan who has had some concerns on that. From our side, I think this is not something that we have been holding back on. संजना जी, आपने इंडिया में भारतीय स्टूडेंट चीन में जाने, देखिए इस विषय पे तो हर बार बात कर रहे हैं. रिसेंटली कुछ मूवमेंट भी हुई थी, कोई लिस्ट वगैरह की उन्होंने मांगी थी चीनी साइड से. हम तो यही दोहराते रहेंगे कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके हमारे स्टूडेंट्स वहाँ पे वापस जा पाएँ, अपनी पढ़ाई कर पाएँ. अभी तक हुई नहीं है, और हम इसको निरंतर इसमें प्रयास चलता रहेगा हमारी तरफ से. प्रोटेस्ट के बारे में मैं कह नहीं सकता, मैं देखा नहीं है, पर हम आश्वासन देना चाहते हैं हर स्टूडेंट्स को कि हम ये हर मौके पे रेज करते हैं, और चीनी साइड से और कुछ मूवमेंट हुई है, पर देखते हैं अगर वो जब तक पहुंच नहीं पाए तब तक सफल नहीं होगा ऐसे प्रयास. I think Nivedita asked me about EM. That's the most difficult one in the sense, why have you limited it to an economic agenda? I think we put out a press release. The External Affairs Minister, when he goes, has usually a very comprehensive agenda to look at all aspects. He's going to 2 important countries in Central Europe. It's a visit that's going on, so I would hesitate to give you too much more details at this stage. Just keep following it. External Affairs Minister's office usually puts out stuff, and we also do. He's just reached Slovakia today. So I think let's just let the visit happen a little more, and we'll try to share with you more updates. Certainly, economic engagement is an important element, but I assure you there'll be many other elements on the agenda, and we will try to share with you whatever we can as the visit progresses. Coming back to Ranjana, you asked about the Quad and EM's comment. I would take the easy way out and say, look, I do not clarify what External Affairs Minister or other senior dignitaries comment. If you have to seek a clarification, you'll have to ask him. But just on the larger issue, I think he made a very simple point. I mean, he's always been talking about what the Quad stands for, the positive approach, the positive agenda, and what 4 countries want to do. And he just made a comment that perhaps this shouldn't be straitjacketed or seen from a particular prism. I don't think I have anything more. Why he said that, I would be guessing on his behalf, and I would not like to do that. I don't know. I don't. He made a speech. We'll have to ask him. I don't wish to speculate on why he would have said it. I do know that some people seem to present the Quad in a different perspective than what we see. Maybe it's a response to that, but here I'm completely guessing. I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, any other queries? Anything else? Yeshi, on second questions? Okay, please. If there's something. Sorry, Yeshi. Somebody raised hand behind who hasn't. You haven't asked a question, right? Please, just give me a second.
Thanks. Albert Goel, CNN International. Is India looking at increasing oil imports from Russia? And is there still an effort to negotiate better rates for these imports?
Sorry, could you repeat? I couldn't hear you on the microphone. Could you get it closer?
Is India looking at increasing oil imports from Russia?
And the second part?
And is there an effort to negotiate better rates for these imports?
Okay. And okay, Yeshi.
Is Myanmar going to be invited for the India-ASEAN meet?
India, ASEAN. Okay. Anybody else on anything? Okay. Siddhant, please. Microphone. Hold on. You won't be here.
So, since the wheat ban which has been put, how many requests we have received from various government to government level, and how many we are able to fulfill? If you can give any details on that.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll close with that. Anybody else? Okay, if not. Look, let me start with the easier ones. Yeshi, what India-ASEAN meeting? We haven't announced anything yet. However, we will. As you know, this year is a special year. I think we mark the 30th anniversary of our contacts with ASEAN in a formal mechanism in '92. So we'll see what, there are plans, and we will share with you. At that point, we will share with you exactly what the modalities of what we are event. So for the moment, I don't have anything to share with you on that. On Siddhant, the simple answer, I'm not in a position to share any of those things that you want. I would love to have it. I don't have it, and even if I did, I'm not sure how much government-to-government conversations can be shared on these things. On the wheat, I think our position is pretty clear. I won't reiterate that. On the issue of, I think, oil, you had asked a question after. Look, let me take a larger point on this one. The questions you're asking is not in the scope of foreign policy in terms of better rates or whoever's quoting rates. I'm not even sure it's a government-to-government procurement, so you'll have to ask the traders and all who buy it. So but let me make a larger point. We have consistently maintained that our approach to oil imports from Russia will be guided by our energy security requirements. So let me emphasize that again. Our consistent position has been that our approach to this oil procurement or oil purchases from Russia is guided by our energy security requirements. You would note that many regions and countries have recently taken policy decisions with a similar perspective. And let me, in that context, reiterate that this issue of oil purchase from Russia is not an India-related issue at all. I think that would be a wrong perspective on it, and I will leave it at that. Okay, thank you very much for the presser, and see you next week. Namaskar.